Hello and welcome to Sensei podcast. This is Manos Brilakis discussing with leaders in the field of CTO and complex PCI. Sensei means teacher or master in Japanese. The goal of the Sensei podcast is to help you learn and improve in CTO and complex PCI so that you can become the best that you can be and offer your patients the best possible results. Hello and welcome to Sensei Podcast. It is my great pleasure to introduce our guest today, Dr. Ahmed Al-Ogaili, whom we had the privilege to work with towards the past year. And he's now going to Penn Presbyterian to lead their CTO program, and we're very excited for him. But Ahmed, welcome and thanks for coming to the podcast today.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me today. Thank you for the opportunity. I think before we start, I was looking up this yesterday. You should change the name of the podcast from Sensei to Gakusei. So Gakusei in Japanese is student. I'm definitely still a student of the game and I'm learning, and thank you so much for the opportunity.
Well, I think we're all learning, and most of the episodes people always say that you never actually learn. There's always room for improving and learning more.
Absolutely.
But maybe let's first start a little bit on your background. How did you end up coming to the US? And then, most people don't do a CTO program, and you subjected yourself to the pain over the last year. So tell us a little bit, how it all started and how you got to decide to sip in CTO.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I told you this before. My father is a pilot. He had a big influential role in my life, and if I was smart enough and if I've listened to him, I would have been flying planes by now. But, unfortunately, I have bad motion sickness, and I actually still do. So this is how I ended up in medicine, And then starting residency, I did all my training in Chicago before. So initially, first year of residency, I was doing an ICU rotation, treating the acutely ill, putting central line here, A-line there. I really enjoyed the critical care. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do pulmonary critical care. Then, second year came and I was exposed to cardiology during that time. I did CCU, cardiology consult. This was at Cook County Hospital, and I had really amazing doctors there, cardiologists who really influenced me. And then I ended up, pursuing cardiology at that time. And I think it was the right choice. If I really enjoyed my fellowship in cardiology. I thought I was okay in the cath lab, first rotation. My hand was steady. I wasn't shaking. I got my first radial access. People were happy. I was happy. Then you do your first STEMI, and you kind of get hooked. And then I ended up, doing interventional cardiology. Now, how did I end up going into CTO? That's a different story. I think I was in my third year of general fellowship, and I was actually in an outside hospital doing an elective in the cath lab, and they brought a proctor to proctor a couple of CTO cases. And at that time, I had no idea what a CTO is. But for some reason, I stayed in. I was in the control room. I watched two cases. I still remember them. So the first case was, both were RCAs. First case were completed through retrograde approach, from an apical LAD to the PDA. And just seeing a wire coming in from one leg, getting out from the other was really mind-blowing. And then the second case, and everyone was happy. Then the second case happened, and the proctor was trying to teach them ADR, actually. So they pushed the knuckle, and the knuckle exited out of his side branch. And then LS3 perforation, chaos in the room. And it was late. It was the second case, so it was late during the day. So the proctor told them, inflate a balloon, and he actually had a plane to catch. So believe it or not, he had to leave. So he left, and they're left with this perforation to manage, right? And then you can sense, the unsettling feeling in the room, chaos there. And he inflated the balloon 20 minutes, bring it down, bleeding still ongoing. And they try again, same thing happened. So at some point, they decided to coil. Now, of course, they haven't coiled in a while. So we ended up calling interventional radiology to help us, deploy the coils. Patient did well and everything, but that was another thing, like, to me, I wanted to be good at managing this as well. Not only, do the successful cases, but just get better at managing this when this happens to me one day. So yeah, from that day, I started watching cases, and then I decided to go for it. I applied during my interventional year. For some reason, you interviewed me, and for some reason, you offered me the position. I mean, I had no connection to the place here. You didn't know me, but it happened for a reason, I guess. I still remember I had you called me back after the interview and you offered me the position, and I had actually still a couple of interviews lined up. I said, just give me a couple of days, let me think about it. And then I was talking to one of my attendings, and he told me, are you crazy? What are you thinking about? If you don't take it, I'm going to take it. So I called back, and that day I canceled the other interviews, and I think the rest is history, as they say.
It's actually, it's fine. It's a small world. And, obviously you came highly recommended and everyone spoke very highly of you, and it was wonderful. Actually, we got in trouble for this. That was the beginning of putting this together, this new fellow CTO. And obviously it was a little too early for the guidelines. So I really got in trouble for this, but I've been more careful ever since. But obviously done a tremendous work, and everyone was very excited even before. But still, right, this is an extra year. So you could have been practicing for a year now.
Yes.
You spent an extra year. Would you do you think it was worth it? Of course, that's biased, but anyway. But nevertheless, for people who, some people may do it, some people may not. If people don't have the capacity for family reasons or for financial reasons, what would you recommend that they do?
Yeah, I mean, actually, for me, it was not an easy decision, and mainly due to family reasons. So as you know, my wife is going to school in Chicago, and there is no CHIP fellowships in Chicago. So it was a long discussion between us because she cannot leave her school. So I had to leave the family. I have 2 daughters as well. So it was a difficult, in terms of family situation. So we had to sacrifice a little bit. I tried to kind of stay close to Chicago in the Midwest, so Minnesota also worked up really, really well in terms of distance. But and even financially, now I have 2 houses, 2 sets of bills, with fellow salary. But despite all of that, I think I have 0 regrets. I was really worried in the beginning, and especially about my family. And but now in retrospect and in all honesty, I have 0 regrets. I will definitely do it again. I think I took a leap of faith initially, but now after experiencing it, the fellowship has been really great. I learned a lot, and I think what CHIP fellowship does, it accelerates your learning. I think the cases I've done in this last year, it would have taken me, 4 or 5 years to get to do all these cases. So
well, that's the one thing, the reason for doing, I guess, it accelerates the learning curve. And although people you can manage badness, I think seeing more badness happen sooner maybe makes it a little more comfortable. Like everything else, the more you see, the more you do. Now, you've always been extremely, calm, relaxed during when the bad times come, which is not everyone feels the same. So how is that always been natural to you? Always been kind of calm in the lab and remaining stable, or is that something you've been learning or at least that's the impression that we get?
Yeah, no, actually you're not the first one who tells me this. This is from the start of my general fellowship. People told me that you look very calm and relaxed. I think overall I'm a calm human being. In the lab, I think I have a good poker face. I don't, even if even if I'm not. Even if I'm on the inside, a little bit nervous, I try not to show it. And I think this helps, especially when bad things happens, is to keep the room under control. Otherwise, once the panic sets, it's you stop thinking, the staff stop thinking, and I don't think it's a bad vicious cycle. So. I don't know. Again, I was always calm, and then I also have good control, at least on the outside. I don't know what the secret is, but I think it's just the way I was raised, I guess.
Well, that comes in very handy for these cases, for the cath lab in general. But how challenging do you find it? So when things don't go well and the room starts getting, as you say, a little nervous, things are not working the way they're supposed to. How do you say you keep your calm, but how do you convey this to the group that yes, it's calm, but at the same time, you don't want them to be sitting around. You have to understand that there's some sort of urgency, right? So how do you manage this balance?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to stay calm, and so you're able to think what to do. And then I think at the same time, you have to take control of the room. Like, you have to be assertive. You have to like delegate, tasks to the staff, and then also ask for help. Like, I don't think especially like when a major complication happens, I think a second set of hands will always be helpful. A person to help you. Get another access. Maybe do a precardiocentesis, put mechanical support. So I think also that helps. Yeah.
Perfect. And now, from the complications, this happens, and obviously it's not a pleasant feeling to have. How does this affect you? Do you get depressed? Do you get sad? Does it take you long to recover? How do you deal with when things don't go well?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's the bad thing about our profession, and I think especially when treating like stable disease, these patients coming for elective procedures. So I think it's gonna happen, like whether we like it or not. So, and I heard you once saying that you prepare for complication from the clinic visit, right? So I think that's the first step, is informing the patient clearly what they're like signing up for, what the risks and benefits of the procedure, why we're doing it, what's the likelihood of a complication. So I think making that clear to the patient and his family helps, like, in general. And then, I personally, like, before the procedure, the day before, the morning of, I try to visualize, like what's going to happen, like the steps. And that kind of helped me anticipate what can go wrong, in each step. So at least I'm mentally prepared. Like, if something happens, at least it doesn't it doesn't come as a surprise. And then, you try to manage it to the best of your knowledge during the case. Then afterwards, I think you try to learn from it. I actually still remember, a case we had in an interventional year. It was like subtotal or to a total, like RCA. And again, we don't do a lot of CTOs at that time. And we actually were able to cross the CTO. But when we were trying to push equipment, we were trying to get a guide extension in, the blood pressure started dropping quickly. And they kept dropping. We weren't sure what was happening. Was the patient having a vagal response? But it kept dropping. We took a puff. You're doing a CTO. Everyone is thinking of perforation. There's no perforation, no dissection. Flow is normal. But the patient kept deteriorating, and he actually went into PEA. And we had to cannulate him on ECMO. But then, as soon as we pulled our equipment, his pressure remarkably improved, his pulsatility came back, and we weren't sure what happened. So I kept looking at the case over and over, and then in one shot I saw that there was a lot of contrast going into the ventricle. So it was basically just the AL guide sitting on the valve, causing really bad AI. That at that point it was new for me. I didn't know about it. Patient ended up on ECMO. I mean, he did well, and he went home, got his artery open, but it was something that is preventable. And I think just looking back at that case over and over, I was able to find the reason. And then now, every time I see hypertension, first thing come to mind, okay, check your guide position. Is it good? Pull the guide, see what happens. So I think we, when it happens, we learn from it and try to kind of prevent it during the next case and next patient. So there's always something to learn. Yeah,
and actually I think we've had at least a couple of cases where exactly this was happening, and we're wondering, but as you say, just pull a little bit and all of a sudden magically things appear. So again, experience helps.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the same time, it's better to learn before the things go the south way. But I mean, the reality is you learn the best from your own challenges and the things that happen. Now, do you get, again, you give the good impression, you're always calm and well composed. Do you get anxious before the case or when you scrub in, or?
Actually, not before the case. I'm usually calm, as long as I have a plan in mind and I know what I'm doing. I'm usually calm before the case. if a complication happen, I do get like a little bit nervous on the inside, which is, I think, normally you need that adrenaline to kind of stay focused and mentally sharp to react. But yeah, for some reason, I really enjoy what we do, and it's for me, it's more enjoyable than nervous, to be honest. And the more complex it gets, for me, it's more like, troubleshooting, problem solving, more enjoyable it becomes. A touch of nervousness is necessary, just again to maintain focus. Yeah, but it's not overwhelming. Yeah,
perfect. And again, that's the right recipe, I guess, for people who want to do this. This is how you're going to feel. If from the beginning you feel like terrified, that's probably not the right career path. At the same time, you don't want to be fearless either. I think being fearless is a recipe for disaster. So you always want to be keeping you in the back of your mind that, again, these are complex procedures and things can go the wrong way. Now, what was the thing that was the most difficult for you to learn in terms of the complex of the procedures or techniques?
In all honesty, getting rid of bad habits when it comes to radiation. I was thinking about this question yesterday, and I told you this story, but I have to tell this story for the public. It was my first case, and I haven't worked with you before, and I was nervous, like normally, and in my mind, I was just telling myself, get the basics right, don't mess up your access. Engage with the guy. Dr. Berlakis doesn't expect you to cross a CTO or get retrograde approach, first day. So, and that's what you're here to learn. So, we scrub in and I grab my micropuncture, I have the ultrasound, puncture the artery, and I put the wire through and I hear, stop. And my heart literally stopped. I said, oh my gosh, first case. And then you ask me what's wrong, like you're pointing to the angiogram, and I look at it and everything looks good, actually. Needle, like right middle of the femoral head, everything looks perfect. So wired in a good place, so I wasn't sure. And I told you, I don't know, everything looks good. And then you pointed at my hand. So I was fluttering my hand, basically. I came in with a lot of bad habits in terms of radiation. I'm very grateful for you to, now I kind of hopefully got rid of most of it. So we use, collimation all the time, don't flutter your hands. Eye all the way, touching the patient chest, limit your angles, fluorosaves, avoid cines, low frame rate. So all of these good habits that were initially difficult for me to get rid of because you built it over years. This was but on more serious note on the technical part, to me, I don't think you need to be gifted to do interventional cardiology, with your hands. If you think about it, we push and pull and rotate, right? These are the movements that we do. Yes, you need to develop some tactile feedback. You need to understand wire behavior when you see it, and that will come with the experience. But I think the tough part is mainly knowing your equipments very well, that you have available, when to use them, in which situation, knowing the techniques that you have available, and also the kind of the decision-making cascade. And I think if you know what's your next step is, how to troubleshoot each step, when to switch from one step to the other, I think this is what makes the difference between an average interventionalist versus a good one. I think knowing all the equipment, devices, techniques, and the algorithms within the algorithms. And I think that will come with time and dedication and experience. But hopefully learning as the time goes.
Well, obviously you're well ahead of the curve, and there's nothing like having your own practice and looking at your own cases, and that helps tremendously. Now, in terms of the stress, fatigue, you always seem to be fresh and never complain, even during Ramadan, when you were hungry, thirsty for hours in a row. So how do you do that? Do you exercise? Do you do anything else? How do you keep yourself in good shape to do this?
Growing up in the Middle East, everyone plays soccer. So I grew up playing soccer. I really enjoy it. And I still do. I mean, I watch all Manchester United games until now. I mean, I used to play a lot more in Chicago. Actually, we used to play twice a week. Twice a week. We used to play in a league. Now in Minnesota, there has been like I lost my team, and I played, but not as much. Now I have really good relationship with the like interventional fellows, the structural fellows. So we actually go play pickleball like twice a week. We actually went yesterday after the meeting. Yeah. So other than sports, really, I grew up also like playing video games. So I have my PlayStation at home, and I don't think I told you this before, but I still play. I mean, we play online with my friends, and yeah, I mean, it's more for like, I guess just getting together with your friends, and like we play Call of Duty, we play FIFA sometimes. So, yeah, never been a big reader, you know, like, but always enjoyed playing video games. Yeah.
So do you think the video games, because there's a lot of tactile component, right, and eye-hand coordination, have you found that useful for?
I think in general, actually, sports and video games like definitely develop your coordination in general. Yeah, so. Again, does it translate into interventional cardiology? I don't know, but I think overall you become more coordinated. Like if you play sports and if you play video games, yeah. Well, maybe a next project, you know.
We should randomize. Half the people play video games, half no. Let's see who does the best job.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, and I think you're right. I mean, the way this is going, a lot of it's going to be computer-based, and the more facile you are with movements, the better. Yeah. Now, no, you told me you don't read much, but you have a favorite book or a favorite movie?
Yeah, again, books are mainly, to be honest, medical books. I don't know, I never got into readings. But movies, yeah, I do watch movies. I mean, movie that comes to mind really is Avatar. Not because it's like the greatest movie ever made, but it just brings a lot of memories. I remember it was my first 3D movie to watch in a theater, and I watched it with a really close group of friends, and we still have our picture with the, you know, the 3D glasses. So it just brings a lot of memories. Yeah, I think like another movie I enjoyed, I don't know if you heard about it, it's called The Curious Case of Benjamin Button by Brad Pitt. So it's a very nice like story. Like basically he ages in reverse. So he's born as an old man, and as he grows chronologically older, he physically grows younger. So the story is really interesting, and I think it's a really nice movie, and I always like watching it. Yeah.
Wonderful. Mm-hmm. And now, in terms of sleep, how much sleep do you get?
You know, like before coming to the States, we used to take a nap in the afternoon, believe it or not. Like, so every time I come back from school or like high school, I would like take a 2-hour nap and stay up late. And that has changed since I came here, actually. I don't know, maybe the older you get, the less sleep you need, but on average, I would say about 6 hours. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And you feel refreshed, and
I feel okay. I feel okay. I mean, I'd like 8 hours would be perfect, but I think on average, I mean, some days longer, some days shorter, but on average, about 6 hours, and I feel okay, like functioning okay. Yeah.
And how important is that? Like when you haven't slept, like for call or for other reasons, and you feel tired. I mean, how does it affect your functioning, your performance?
I think you feel it by the end of the day, especially if it's a long day in the lab with radiation. You kind of feel foggy, you know, like so. But again, I think the adrenaline keeps you going. As soon as the cases are done, you crash, and then you feel the effect of not sleeping. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, in terms of the future, I know again you've done phenomenal work, and Penn Presbyterian is very lucky to have you, actually.
Thank you.
What are your goals for practice? So for people like yourself who have done, I mean, how many years of training? I mean, 8-9 minutes like crazy. So it's now finally out there. What are the main things that you are seeing in the next few years?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm very excited about the opportunity. I mean, going to totally new place, new place, new city, new, hopefully, colleagues. So, I mean, the plan is hope to start like a complex and a CTO program and slowly grow it. So that's at least my like a short-term plan. Hopefully in the next 2 years, get on my feet and start doing these cases alone, and hopefully get volume and get the program going. Then we'll see. We'll take it from there, I guess. I mean, long-term plan, I think hopefully one day I'll be able to teach, complex PCI back at my home country. I'm from Iraq originally, so hopefully one day I'll get that opportunity, but we'll see. Well, one step at a time.
Yeah, maybe sooner than you think. The world is becoming flat, and there's more and more collaboration, cooperation in different parts of the world. But again, it's an exciting time, obviously, starting in a new place and establishing things and going on. And there's always this part of the learning curve where you're in a new environment. So it takes a while to people to get to know you and not you to know them. Yeah. Every tech here, everyone has loved working with you. So do you give them chocolate? I mean, what do you do?
I actually never. No, I mean, I just try to be genuine with everyone. I mean, I treat everyone with respect. And actually throughout my training, I had great relationships with everyone. The techs from my prior programs still text me and they wanted me to come back, but it didn't happen, unfortunately. But I mean, no, nothing special. I just try to be kind with everyone. Yeah.
So it just comes naturally.
Yeah.
So again, Ahmed, you've done phenomenal work. I mean, you're more than ready to tackle any kind of complexity. For people who are in your shoes, 1, 2 years ago, when you're thinking about everything and starting, or the ones who decided they want to do it and they want to start building their skills. So what should they do?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I think fellowship for me was a great choice. So I think if they have the opportunity to get into fellowship, I think they should definitely consider it. I think first they'll build connection with mentors that will guide them throughout their career in the future. I think they'll, as I said, will accelerate their learning. Now, if you don't have access to fellowship, I think what helped me the most is not reading actually books. I watched a lot of live cases, and that helped me a lot. I mean, we used to joke about the term power knuckle with my friends because we didn't understand what it means. And we go to this meeting and people saying power knuckle, and then we didn't know what a power knuckle is. But I think just watching cases, and I've watched, I don't know how many cases, probably more than 500, live case. I think every day, if I have a case I didn't watch, I try to watch a case. So, and I can tell you, what majority of the operators who do live cases, how they prefer to do their cases, what their favorite equipments are. But I think, seriously, I learn a lot just by watching, because they go over every step of the case. You understand equipment, you understand terminology, you understand the basics. And then when you read it, then it makes sense. So even coming into the fellowship, I didn't have maybe the tactile feedback of how the equipment will behave, but I had the basic knowledge, at least, of CTO PCI. So I didn't start from scratch, which actually also helped during the training. So I think these are valuable resources that everyone should tap into, and it's available online, there are multiple websites, and if anyone is interested, they can contact me. I'll provide them with a list of websites where they can watch cases. Yeah, absolutely.
Cell phone and email. Please contact him 24/7, 365. Christmas, whatever, anytime you can contact him.
But I think that was the biggest asset for me, is live cases.
Yeah. Well, and again, I mean, it is a great lesson, and plus also seeing different people, because sometimes what happens if you work with one person all the time, you may just subconsciously pick up and just function in a specific way, which, it's good for some things, but I'm sure there are other ways to do things better for different cases. Also developing your personal style. And I think it was Bill Lombardi was saying that the goal is not to make another operator like him or anyone else, but create some new like the best of what they can be. And everyone brings their own flavor on the table.
Absolutely.
So again, congratulations. It's been a phenomenal year. You're going to do phenomenal work at Penn Presbyterian, Philadelphia is likely to have you. The coronary disease is under threat into the East Coast right now. And obviously, we'll keep in touch. We'll keep on working together.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And again, I just want to say thank you for everyone. My parents, and my mentors back in Chicago, everyone. I'm very grateful for you, for the team. Here you have a wonderful research team: Bhavana, Olga, Thanasi, Mihaila, and Dennis. I mean, they have supported me throughout, whether on the research part or the cases. So again, I'm very grateful for everyone, and thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thanks. All right.
Thank you for listening to the Sensei podcast.